minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for listening to WOCA The Source. Robin and I have been looking forward to this interview. Our next guest has had such an interesting life, such an amazing story to tell. There was a thought that came to me that I wanted to share with you. A few weeks ago, we went to Chattanooga, and we were with a whole bunch of students, thousands of, when I say students, I mean college-age students. And one of the things that is different in their generation from my generation is that they embrace sexuality differently. They really do. It's a completely different world in that regard, and I'm sure in other regards as well. And I think that they would really embrace this story that we're about to tell you about. It's a book called Abandoned in Search of Rainbows. It is a memoir, so it's a true story, and it's written by our guest, A.K. Kim Driggs. Listen to this. I mean, this has got to be said before we say anything else, how she was the first part of her life.
Yes.
You know, your daughter is having a birthday, what, in 2-3 days?
Yeah, Thursday.
3 days, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure that every birthday, you tell her that story. I'm sure she's heard it every birthday, right? She's going to be 36?
Yeah.
So she's heard 36, that story 36 times in her life. I remember my mom and dad used to do the same thing to me when it was my birthday, and I do the same thing to my son, always recall the story. How about this as a story? Kim Driggs, as a newborn, was discovered on a frigid winter's day inside a brown paper bag on a toilet seat in a bar and grill washroom in Rochester, New York. And from that beginnings of, holy mackerel, a baby on a toilet seat in a bar, she's gone on to make herself into some wonderful things. She's a musical prodigy, an animal communicator, which I got to ask her about that, because I got issues with my dog. And a phone sex superstar. I will never admit, I'm not going to tell you. But
that's one of my favorite parts.
But I did try that 1-900 thing one time. I did.
Did it work?
I asked the lady to sing the theme song to Gilligan's Island. I was trying to do a radio bit, and she sang it too. So. Anyway, Kim is a recording artist, a poet, a founder and CEO of Avatar Marketing, and again, her book Abandoned in Search of Rainbows. Kim Driggs, I'm excited to get to know you. Good morning, Kim.
Aloha. Good morning to you all.
Aloha. Where are you?
Well, I live on the Big Island in Hawaii, so I was up at 4 a.m. for this.
Well, thank you for getting up early.
Absolutely. It's my honor to be with you all today.
I can hear why you're a phone sex superstar. I would think, I wonder, we said this morning, I've never met a phone sex person before, ever. Mm-mm. And then we thought, well, maybe we have, but people just don't admit it. But you don't mind telling people that's what you did?
Well, it was a means to an end. It was tough. I had abandoned myself, actually. I had abandoned my love of my dream of being a recording artist, which I was, but I abandoned it, and you'll learn more about why in the book. And I didn't know what to do with myself. You know, I'd really, aside from knowing how to type, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I decided to reinvent myself and create a new career in the natural products industry with a friend of mine. But in order to do that, I had to be available during the day to create the business. And I couldn't make any money doing the business for at least a year. And a friend of mine, an actress, told me about this opportunity to do live phone sex. This is back in the 80s in Los Angeles from the privacy of my own home, and it was a legal situation.
Yeah.
More details in the book about that. And while I did not want to do it, I had to do something to survive and feed myself and pay the rent and take care of my animals. And so I made a goal. I said, I will do this for 1 year, and I will find a way to make this something special, meaning I just couldn't be a phone whore. I couldn't do it.
A phone whore. Did you feel dirty afterwards, or was it no big deal?
No, I mean, I was terrified going into it, but you know, when you read the book, and I know that some of you have, you can see that I had to pull something special out of it, and I had to make sure that the guys I was talking to were going to respect me. So once I realized I had that, I could do that with many of them, then I didn't feel dirty. Okay.
Okay. Did some of them just call to talk? I mean, did some of them have no?
Oh yeah.
No real
so
sexual requests.
Yes. I mean, I mean, there is one story in the book. I only chose 4 stories to share, and I did tone it down for my readers as much as I could, but it still had to be somewhat authentic. You know, if I had done
you just sold a whole bunch of books. Just tell us that.
No, it's tastefully done.
Yeah, thank you. But there is one John that I spoke about, who's an FBI agent. That's all I'll say. Who really needed to talk a lot, you know. And I mean, there were guys that there was a very famous football coach who just needed to talk. And he said, charge my credit card. But he said, you are the only person that I have ever called that I feel comfortable that will talk to me.
Wow.
And help me. And so, you know, I had to approach everything from a coaching standpoint, because I used to be a coach. So, you know, I had to give them what they wanted, but I also it had to be more.
I'm going to ask you about John Davidson's singing summer camp, or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. What was that?
Back in the day, John Davidson had a singing summer camp on Catalina Island to help teach amateur entertainers how to be basically a Vegas entertainer. There was dance and acting and singing and all of those things. And I was a professional at the time, but my arranger, who worked for John one season, got me in. John heard my demo tape and said, oh my God, yeah, bring her in. She'd be great, even though she's, not an amateur anymore. We'd love to have her. So I spent an entire month, which was their gig. I'm
going to throw out a name just see if this is a coincidence. Was Jonathan Wolfe in that mix? Do you know Jonathan Wolfe?
Jonathan Wolfe.
No, I thought maybe that was because I know Jonathan Wolfe works with John Davidson.
Yeah,
I don't know that name.
He's an acquaintance of Robin and mine. So okay,
okay.
And I know he worked with him. That's what I was trying to figure out, if maybe there was a connection.
I mean, I may have met him, but, my brain's a little foggy. Back to the 80s.
Maybe he used a different name.
maybe he did. All right, so I'm sorry for being a guy and just gravitating right to the phone sex thing, but that was unfair of me. But it's just me. So what is the story with you were born? Do you know the story, or is that all you know? Do you know, what was your mother thinking?
Well, I can tell you absolutely, completely, that I know that my biological mother loved me dearly. I could feel intuitively her pain having to leave me. She could obviously not take care of me. She left me in a place that she knew I would be found quickly. The article in the book talks about how Mrs. Slora saw a tired, young-looking woman wearing an old coat and a handkerchief, or like a hanky thing, schmata thing on her head, come into the bar and grill and disappear into the washroom, but she never saw her come out. She vanished, and the police never found her. To me, I was very lucky because back in those days, they used to dump babies in the Barge Canal.
And they still do.
And they still do. And so I was very fortunate. But because I was deemed unadoptable for almost 2 years because I had a rash all over my body, why that should matter, I don't know. I was thrown around to a lot of foster homes, and that caused a lot of insecurities and attachment issues. But when I was finally adopted, and I'm not going to tell you, our listeners, the extraordinary coincidence on who adopted me and how that happened. I just needed love. And from the very beginning, my mom and dad told me that I was a chosen baby and I was adopted. And the day that we went in to have the papers signed, I was 2.5. I was jumping up and down in the judge's chair. Hi, Judge, I'm going to get adopted. So I knew how special it was.
So you lived in L.A. at that time? I mean, not at that time, but I mean...
when I left for L.A., in 79. I was born in 54.
Okay, and you moved to LA from where?
Rochester.
Oh, okay. And you keep going west. Now you're in Hawaii.
Well, that was my dream from the time I was little, and that's another extraordinary story in the book. This incredible, intuitive yearning and knowing that I had to get to Hawaii. Why? Why is that? I don't know, but I knew it. I knew it. I saw a photograph, and I went, oh, my God, what is that? I have to be there. And, there's a little scene in the book that talks about what happened the first time I did visit Hawaii. And so my whole dream was, I have to get here. And nothing stopped me. I had my eye on the prize, but it took me till I was 50 years old to make the dream.
You're an inspiration in so many ways. I actually think you're ahead of your time in some ways, and I want to explain that. It has to do with our visit to Chattanooga with the students a few weeks ago. Abandoned in Search of Rainbows. We'll continue this conversation with Kim Driggs on the other side of the break. A.K. Kim Driggs, specifically. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Times of clouds and sunshine and breezy today. There can be a shower, even a thunder shower in spots along the coast. The high today 75 to 79. And partly cloudy tonight, lows ranging from 59 in the coolest inland spots to 71 along the coast. Tomorrow, clouds and some sun and quite breezy. There may be a shower along the coast. The high 80 to 84. For Wednesday, partly sunny and breezy again. A shower at the coast. The high 80 to 84. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
Good credits, bad credits. It's none of our business because we're not an auto dealer. We're not a bank. We're not your mother. We're OcalaForSale.com. Marion County's marketplace for cars, trucks, and SUVs. We've got thousands of sellers standing by to take your call. No middleman. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to OcalaForSale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge. Undercutting, rust proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
Do you have areas that have started sagging or drooping? Is what you're looking at not quite the same as it was years ago? Are there enhancements you've been putting off? Is there serious damage you need fixed? Then call on us, Damage Control Services. When your roof is sagging and the drywall is drooping after a storm, or your home just needs some enhancements, from damage repairs to new construction, Damage Control Services is here to help.
Hi, I'm Leah Caruso with Strive Rehabilitation, inviting you to join me Thursday at 11 a.m. for Health Matters. Ocala Health and Strive have teamed up to bring you the latest information on good health services available to you right here at home. This vital information will help you make informed decisions about your health. So don't forget to join me here at 11 a.m. Thursday. It's news you can use from Ocala Health, Strive, and your friends here at WOCA.
Hi, I'm Seth with AA Lock, Dock, and Security. Have you ever thought about the locks or security on your house or business? Have you ever wondered why the keys to your new car cost so much? Well, at AA Lock, Dock, and Security, we can help with securing your valuables. We can even replace those expensive transponder keys. We can give you the knowledge that no one else will. Call AA Lock, Dock, and Security at 867-1965. That's 867-1965.
What are the most common questions those nearing retirement are asking? Will I outlive my money? Retirement questions like these and many more will be answered every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement with hosts Francois and Julian Pozenet. Francois and Julian will help you put your retirement puzzle together. Catch Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement Saturdays at 9 a.m. on Ocala's News Talk, The Source 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
19 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. So the other day I was driving in traffic and I was looking at all the cars around me and I was remembering something I read where the author was saying that people typically on a daily basis go no farther than 2 hours away from home. And I was thinking, well, what about when before we had cars? I mean, we were just walking 2 hours. What was it? I mean, has that always been the case? And where are we all going? What are we all looking for? And if I try to analyze my own self, and I want to ask Kim this question about herself, because I think a lot of her book is about finding happiness, whatever that is for each of us. It's kind of a weird thing to say you're looking for. There was an interview the other day with the lady who was the wife of the crocodile hunter. What was his name again? Irwin?
Terry Irwin.
Steve.
His name is Steve. Her name.
Oh, her name is Terry. Okay, so yeah, he died because he got stabbed by a stingray. Mm-hmm. They look like a really happy couple when they at the time, and they were. I'm not saying they looked like it, but they weren't. They really, really were. And so the interviewer was asking her, all these years now that Steve has been gone, have you ever considered dating again? And she said, no, I found the love of my life, and he's now gone. But there's never going to be another one. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, wow, happiness is an interesting thing. It's a fleeting thing. We have it and then we don't have it, and we're looking for it all the time. Mm-hmm. And where does it stem from? If you had a happy childhood, are you looking for that thing you had when you were a child? Mm-hmm. If you didn't have a happy childhood, are you not sure what you're looking for? Kim, I think you've been looking for some happiness, and it seems like you've found it. You've been gifted with so many different talents, though. So this is a question I have for you. If your talent can tug you in the direction of happiness, you must have been torn apart with all your what you can do. I mean, what you've been gifted with.
Well, that's a great question. For me, it really goes back to singing. I learned when I was about 3 years old. Well, as soon as I was adopted, my mom started to sing to me and play records, and so I was introduced to music at a very young age, and she found out right after they got me that I could harmonize. I mean, at a very young age, in 3-4 years old, I was harmonizing to, Tony Bennett and Buddy Greco and, all those wonderful people that I adore, and Andy Williams, and I could hear, I could memorize, I could carry a perfect pitch, and I just started singing to everything, all living creatures. I would be out in the backyard singing to pollywogs and frogs and birds and dogs and cats, and when I sang, I was happy. When I wasn't singing, I was always contemplative and wondering, what about this? And I had a gazillion questions. What's life? What's nothing? What's death? Where do we go? What's a UFO? Are we the only people? Are there UFOs? I mean, I was constantly asking questions. But when I was singing, I was happy. And as I grew a little older, I said, I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to be a singer. I'm doing this for my life's passion. And so for me, the dream was to be a recording artist, because I thought that's what singing was all about, to share the music. And at a very young age, we discovered that when I sang to animals, they reacted very positively, and it was quite extraordinary. My mother went, oh my goodness, look at that. If a dog was agitated, it would become calm. A cat would go to sleep. I mean, when I sing to an animal, something happens spiritually. It's the tone. I've learned how to manipulate tone, and a spiritual master saw me doing this. I didn't know he was standing there. And I was singing to some animals, and they just got very relaxed and laid down and kind of put their head down. And he walked up to me and he says, you have a gift with your voice. And I looked up and I went, oh. And he says, you need to do this always. You need to sing to everyone, everything.
Okay, everyone.
Everything.
And I would think that if your singing is comforting an animal, it would probably also comfort a human.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so. And I used to get a lot of comments when I was performing. Strangers would come up to me and say, I've been following you for years, and, I bought your tape, or I did tape, remember? And I did this, and I cannot tell you how you helped me during my divorce, or I was going through an illness, and, your music did this, and I kept saying to them, thank you so much. It isn't me. It is what you're hearing through the tone. And they would look at me kind of funny, and I learned finally not to try to tell people that it was really divine spirit coming through. So I just learned to say
it's a mystery. Music is a mystery. I two people come to mind that I've admired as writers, Paul Simon and John Lennon. And in both cases, I think they both demonstrated, not that they didn't, I mean, they had really good words to their songs, but they also demonstrated that it often wasn't even about the words. It was about something else.
Right, right. And think about surgeons play certain music in the theater, in the operating rooms, right?
Yeah.
And how often have, I don't know, any of our listeners gone in to have a procedure done, and they say, would you like to have some music on during this procedure?
Oh, gosh.
You may not even remember hearing it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I always say Hawaiian music when I come here.
Hawaiian music.
or smooth jazz.
Do you know that guy is Israel? They call him Izzy. Did the song Over the Rainbow. You know his version of it. Isn't that beautiful? That's a beautiful piece.
Oh, he was he was an amazing vehicle, and it's unfortunate that he left us so early.
Yeah.
But he was an extraordinary, and the story of that tune, if you Google it, I think it was he got inspired in the middle of the night or something and was woken up and got up and went into the studio and recorded it because it came to him. And that happens to me. I'll wake up in the middle of the night. It's always that bewitching hour, and I'm being spoken to. It's an intuitive, very subtly. It's not like a big voice says, "Hey, you," but it's a knowingness, and that's what's happened to me. And that's what this whole book is about. It's finding what makes you happy. Is it gardening? Is it being a grandmother? Is it dancing? Is it running? Is it sewing? What is it that thrills you? Like what you do, love what you do what you like kind of thing. You have to find what makes you happy, and what you said earlier, Larry, which is move through the challenges in your life by grabbing on to the things that truly thrill you. So when I was in most despair, or when I find myself getting really depressed about something or going into an old place of maybe insecurity, because it does pop up, the abandonment pops up every now and then, very rarely, but every now and then a little boop will pop in, and I'll go, okay, I know that, and I'll go and do what makes me happy. I'll pick up my new guitar, I'll start singing my new song that I recorded last fall, I Found the Rainbow, and I'm completely healed.
And so you were able to help yourself through your gifts. Was that a comfort to you when for cancer?
Absolutely. Although well, that's a good question.
That must have been difficult.
My guitar. Yeah, I wasn't playing my guitar then. I really wasn't singing then. What got me through cancer was Hawaii. It wasn't the music, because I couldn't even draw up one note. It was Hawaii, keep my eye on the prize, because we had scheduled up a trip to the Big Island on July 17th. And the doctor said, well, I don't know if you're going to be able to go on that trip. If her red count drops or something happens, we're going to have to prolong it. And Janet kept saying, no, do not take that away from her. I'm going to keep her healthy. And she did.
Wow.
And when I would go in, I would have listening when I'd go in to do the chemo, which was very hard on me. I kept listening to Hawaiian music. She kept having me visualize little Pac-Men eating up everything, because I love that game. And when I was in radiation, another extraordinary coincidence, and I had these my whole life, when they laid me down on the table, I looked up on the ceiling, and there was a photograph of Hawaii on the ceiling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they just happened to have it. And then they said, what music do you want to play while you're having this done? And I handed them a CD of Naleo, Hawaiian group. And I told them about my goal, and my entire team, everybody, all the doctors, all the nurses, everybody involved knew what my goal was, so they kept their eye on the prize for me.
Wow.
And I finished the last treatment 1 week before I got on that plane. And it was when I got on that plane to come to the Big Island as our regular visit is when I decided, why are we waiting? We have to make our dream come true. We have to find a way to get here.
Kim, you have delighted us. I knew you would, and I'm disappointed that the time is out because there was so much more we wanted to talk to you about. I have a copy of the book, Abandoned in Search of Rainbows by A.K. Driggs. Call me if you want the copy that was sent to us. The rest of us have to go buy it. And Kim, do you have a website? Let's start there.
Yes, it's called abandonedinsearchofrainbows.com. The book is also available on iBooks, Amazon, Goodreads, Barnes & Nobles, online, and all of my music is out there from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and now. Just look for A.K. Driggs. Journey Through the Years is the album, and you could buy it on Amazon.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it. I'm looking forward to that. Kim, thank you. If you're ever up early again in Hawaii, definitely you're welcome back on. Or if you're in Florida, come into the studio.
I would love to do this again. Thank you both so much.
Great interview. We will be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. GOP presidential hopefuls Ben Carson because of threats and Donald Trump because of bigger crowds will get Secret Service protection.
It's rare for the Secret Service to provide protection to a candidate before they officially get their party's nomination, though Barack Obama started receiving protection in May of 2007. Hillary Clinton has had Secret Service protection back to her days as First Lady.
Fox Radio's John Decker. A tragedy in Chicago. A 6-year-old boy shot and killed his 3-year-old brother as they played cops and robbers. Devastated grandfather Israel LaSalle.
I would advise people, especially if they got kids, to keep no weapons in their house.
The father who left the loaded gun in the refrigerator charged with felony child endangerment. The White House says 81 U.S. companies have signed a climate change pledge ahead of final talks next month on a global climate change agreement. Fox News, we report, you decide.
You know the story of Hansel and Gretel, where Hansel left breadcrumbs on the trail so they could find their way back home? That's what you do when you use public Wi-Fi, or shop online, or give out